Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, it's your fault because you made me choke on my apple juice, and now I got to cough.
I'm sorry.
I am the fat leech Travis Snell, and I'm joined by.
I don't want it, Kirklin Batzer.
No, I don't want it. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we are here. It's just a duo. For the first few weeks, the duo was Kirkland and Taylor, but you and I are here. Taylor is still on the mend, still trying to get. I don't know. I haven't talked to him with his neck injury. If like the throat has been hurt as well. Like I haven't actually physically talked to him. I've just heard like he's texted and stuff like that. But he's on the mend. As you've Travis told you, the authorities know who's attacked the person, and I'm looking forward to talking to that person. There's lots of things, lots of drama going on GeekVerse, much like House of Dragon, Game of Thrones, is what we're going to be talking about today. Episode 7. We got 3 more left. As always, you can find everything you need to know down below: our social media, our audio, our video, our Discord, which has us and other listeners and hosts in there. Our podcast network has 8 shows on there that covers just a huge gamma of geek-oriented things. What else? You got our Patreon. You head over and get this episode ad-free. You get other episodes early, like our Man-Thing retrospective, which is dropping later on this week. But you could already been listening to that and moved on at this point. A big shout-out to Superbad Mike in our Discord. He just our newest patron, just joined this month and everything like that. You missed time that. You thought I was going a different route.
You fooled me. You pulled a quick one.
Big shout out to him. You know, on Discord, if you people are wondering, he unlocked the special purple font. Like that means you're a patron. That means, you know, you get the digs into some special, coloring, which is always a good thing. But yeah, like him, you get episodes ad-free early, and then you can join the Phase 4 tier to become a Patreon producer. Not only is it the highest tier where you get every single benefit, you get to vote on certain things. Like you guys have decided our Halloween retro, which is going to be The Empty Man, which is a movie. Patreon Clay is going to be very happy about that because he made me watch that movie. It's not that I dislike the movie. I just didn't think I'd be watching it again, but we will be watching it. I will say, I think it's going to make a phenomenal podcast for us to talk about. So you'll be getting that early soon, and then you're going to be picking our video game retro. So on the Patreon producer tier at Phase 4 tier, big thank you to Aaron, Braden, April Darkness, Smalley Biggs, Joshua Wright for keeping it going, but also just you guys literally produced content. But a big thank you to everyone else on there. Big thank you to all the listeners. Big thank you to everyone that supports us and gets Manscaped product through us because we have signed a new contract all the way to the end of 2022. I have to look when we joined. I know it's definitely been a year, but it's crazy that we've had a year of having a sponsor, like over a year and stuff like that. And they're happy. They say people keep supporting coming in. So again, as we've said, we're going to probably talk about Manscaped a little bit later, but GVPOD, get 20% off and free worldwide shipping. Just hit that up. And then now, importantly, I don't care. I bickered with some fucking loser during one of our, what was it? Oh, it was Andor. I deleted the comments because I just didn't even want to have them on there. But they're like, well, I don't like that it takes about 10 minutes to get into an episode. And then why are you even doing non-spoiler stuff? And I said, well, the first little bit was talking about a charity shirt, you asshole. So, and he's like, well, I didn't hear any charity shirt. And then I gave him the timestamp. He's like, oh, I must have skipped that part. So again, if you are gonna get mad for promoting charity for the next few months, don't listen because this is for all these funds, which are tax deductible, so you can proceed and donate and all that stuff go towards the BC Children's Hospital. We have a goal of $3,500. Now we're only $3,475 away because we'll do a bunch of things that I actually like. But a big thank you to Dave Reese, who's our first donator, got us up to a little bit. So it's slow and steady, but it's good to have even just a little something over a month ahead, because that's a good thing. There's times where we went in just bare dry, nothing. It's a big fat goose egg,
It's a meaty goal. So any head start is it's a great start,
Yes, and also as we say before, if you can't donate, completely understand. Money can be tight at times, but that's why the day of the stream or in advance for the day of stream, please just share, spread the word, retweet. That helps a lot because we've had multiple people over the years that have just donated that we met for the first time or never heard of, but they want to help our cause. We got a whole bunch of events happening. We got title matches. We got the final GeekVerse Gauntlet World in Sports Style happening between Kirklin and myself and Taylor Field. We got the final team titles match happening. We got Lord of the Rings Monopoly, which I don't care. Katie, you might be listening to this. Kirklin, I already beat you. It was like a month ago I beat you in Monopoly. 13 year. I'm putting live on air, which just sucked because the last game I played, I won in Decimate, but this one watching I lose. But 13-year streak. The last time I lost Monopoly was when I played. Was at camping with my mom. We're gonna be doing. There's one secret event I can't announce. The GV Trivia Battle. That's gonna be our biggest one yet. We have lots of people joining, new people as well. Got to confirm some names. So the players will be announced closer to, but 2 teams are gonna face off in Marvel, Star Wars, and DC trivia. And it always that one I think is kind of like it feels like it's become the main event of that stream because I think there's the bragging rights, but you just don't know what questions are going to happen. You don't know what moments are going to happen. You don't know who's going to show up. And I'm pretty happy with who we've confirmed so far. So, Kirklin, you ready to stay up for 24 hours plus coming up in November for the kids?
I don't think so, but I'm gonna have to be. It's one of those things where I don't know if it's just an age thing. It's just like, man, all-nighters are they're few and far between in my life now, which is probably for the better. It's not great for the health, but one year out, one day out the year. My gosh, easy for me to say. Yes. One day out of the year to stay up all night, party, get crazy. I guess we're not really partying, but we're raising money for BC Children's Hospital, and it's gonna be lots of fun, and hopefully we just break our goal again. We've been. Just completely surprised every time, people that show up and donate out of their hard-earned dollars for just a great cause. And yeah, it just, all in all, it's just a great positive event and just lots of laughs and fun times. And I'm looking forward to dethrone you in your Monopoly 13-year run because...
I'm looking forward to taking that sports title back and being the first ever unified champion. So we can trade.
A lot of firsts, hopefully.
There are a lot of firsts, a lot of lasts, but it's going to be a big battle. So stay tuned. Going to be tons of fun. I don't know what we're going to be doing when we're Viserys age and it's like 50 and we're like, oh my God. But you know what? I will say most of the time when those coming out one arm, I will say most of the times though when you're in the thick of it, you're tired the next day, but it feels like you're like, oh man, we only got 2 hours left. Like it surprisingly goes by slow and fast at the same time. It's a weird semblance of time because like, I'm so tired, but you're like, well, like because there's been so many streams where that's why I try to limit the events where I'm like, oh, we got a bunch of stuff we haven't done, like, let's do it. But so yeah, we're gonna be promoting next month and everything like that is for charity. So but most of the time our loyal listeners have been with us for a whole time. They completely get it and they support us and stuff. So we thank you. Now, let's get into Game of Thrones. Kirkland Patzer, this was another thing the same guy said, I don't get why you do a non-spoilers portion because I've never met anybody that goes watch an episode and just listens or they listen to something before. Well, the reason we do it is because we had people request it in the past many times. So you know what? I'm happy they're not a subscriber. Anymore, so.
Maybe we should just completely change our structure because of
one guy. One guy that's dropped in for one and/or review. Who skips everything but says you didn't talk about this. Oh, sorry, I missed that part. Boy, but Kirk Patzer, I imagine you weren't skipping anything of Game of Thrones, House of Dragon tonight. Episode 7, episode 2 of the Time Jump. Where were you on it?
Episode 2 of the Time Jump. Very confusing way to say that. No, you're completely right. Episode 7. I even had a hard time discerning what episode this was because as you just mentioned, I was like, hey, this is episode 2 with the new crew. So that's kind of how my mind just went with it. But I noticed even we have a new background this week, and I think it's completely fitting because this episode got super fiery hot, and it's really interesting. I don't think it's a spoiler thing. I've seen it all over Twitter. A lot of complaints about the lighting for a particular section of this episode, and I'm completely in that camp as well. I found it very hard to discern. Yeah, you agree. Shay
turning
really,
off
really
every fucking light in my house. I'm trying to get it old age Victorian. Can I get darker, please? Blow out that candle. I can't see anything. I thought that finale, or I thought that last episode, one of those last few of Game of Thrones, the last season. Remember the big the ice walk? I thought that was bad. No, fuck, man. I felt like I was 60 here. Do I need glasses? Oh,
a whole new level. Yeah, and I was telling Shay, I'm like, imagine watching this in daytime. You can't. You got to just wait till it's nighttime. Otherwise, you get crazy glare. But that aside. So maybe let me restart. So the beginning of the episode was kind of that, and I'm like, man, I don't know, man. This might be my least favorite episode of the week, and there was a certain shift that happened, and I tweeted on there, if you follow me, I did the classic Joe Rogan reaction to just the crazy fight, and that was literally me watching this episode. I was losing my shit. I was getting very audible. It was fun too because Shay and I were watching it together, and I feel like we were kind of coming from two different camps, so it felt like we were rooting for different teams, and we're just totally getting heated. It was a very, very entertaining, fun time, and for
New
me,
clone incoming.
Yeah, let's tune in for an after 9 maybe for that. So yeah, it's interesting from the early episode, like early stage of the episode. I wasn't loving it, but by the end, I'm like, this is probably like one of the most entertaining like moments out of any Game of Thrones that I've ever had watched it. Like I was on the edge of my seat, and it was so intense, and yeah, it was awesome. It's not a perfect episode because of some of the lighting issues, like I said. But just for like entertainment value, I got like a big juicy orange of entertainment from this episode, and it left me satisfied, left me super hungry for next week. So again, the show in general is just keeping me wanting to come back. So that's great, like it kind of has had that since like the first episode, and it's great that we're here. Like we've seen 7 episodes now. Is it 9 total or 10?
10.
I can't remember. 10. So
5
10 total.
each.
We're 70% the way through, and I'm still wanting more Game of Thrones world. So that's awesome. So yeah, I'm very, very happy with it. Anything else non-spoilers? I mean, the actors are again just still killing it. I feel like Olivia Cook and Emma Darcy, I think is her name.
Emma Darcy. Yeah.
I think they both got like more opportunities to shine in this episode, and it's so interesting because I feel like I'm in a stage of the show where I'm like, I'm not rooting for really anyone now. Like I hate a lot of people for different reasons, but it's just I'm able to find like the people that I hate like the least to kind of root for. But like also, I don't know, because I'm like not too attached to the character, or maybe let me rephrase it. I'm not like so on one camp that I'm able to just kind of enjoy the chaos, and this episode had a lot of that. So yeah, I think I'll pass it along to you there. I'm so excited to just break down what this episode was and get into spoilers. But all in all, it was hot. It was a fiery hot episode.
Oh yeah. Yeah, lots of juice going on. I'm somebody that I feel like I'm definitely in one camp. Like I'm firmly for the teams wise. Like I'm team so and so, and we'll get in that.
I'm excited to hear who that is.
The team might have. Well, I was gonna say might have some flaws, but the whole team has some flaws. But either way, yeah, I can't say anything really different than Kirklin. And I think I was lighting aside, enjoying it the whole time. I think the lighting is just purely because they shot a lot of that in daytime, and they were trying their best to make it look dark, and it's like. It just didn't really work for me, and it was tough because it did take me out. Like I had to pause, like how to do this and everything like that. But look at these amazing Targaryen podcasters. We don't got no white hair. We're the black hands or whatever that guy was. Or
He's professional coming in the chat. I love his headshot he's got.
Oh, I know. It's definitely an alien headshot, though. Like, this is what the people over deem good. So I hope your hospital stay is going good, Taylor Fields. There you go. You got Wi-Fi at the hospital, so that's good. But no, I absolutely loved this episode. I think now if I had any worries, which I thought like, hey, last week it annulled them, but at the whole time jump thing, it did suck losing those actors. But now where we are, I'm firmly in the camp now of I think I'm good with it. Like it's not really taking me at all, which is good. So that's one positive where even more so I'm down that camp. And yeah, I'm excited to see at the end of the season how I feel because this is one of already the best seasons of like Game of Thrones in general, period. Now I think that's because like we are getting to a lot of big moments, and that has to do with a lot of the time skips, which there has been moments where I go, oh, I wish we could have sat in that moment for a little bit, but it's led to some great stuff, some great performances, some great twists and turns. And yeah, this was, to me, if you thought that wedding episode or the pre-party wedding episode was anything, this was that times 100. Because I knew the second, like, we had all these parties involved and I saw this room, I was like, man, sorry, fucking speed racers out there, my God.
I was going to say dragons in Travis's room right now.
I just got abducted. Oh!
Big light beam. I would be shocked, yeah. Like, did we get that recorded?
You just go on with the review, though, like nothing else. Oh, maybe he'll be back next week. But,
that'll be a great cutout later,
Oh, yeah. Travis abducted by aliens during review. That'd be a good April Fool's Day prank. But, no, I just knew, man, this is going to be a good one, and they delivered. I loved it the whole way through. I think all these characters have great motivations, but I am firmly in one camp. But, yeah, great moments, great set pieces. Like, there's not much action, but the minimal action we got was great because it wasn't like, oh, this is such good action. It was just more gripping of what's happening and who's it going to happen to. So, no, I think this is up there again, like that wedding episode a couple of weeks ago. Like, this is up there, at least for episodes. I don't know about season-wise. I'll have to wait and see because the time jumps sometimes go, oh, yeah, I don't know about that. But these 2 episodes are like 2 of the best, and it's already good to be saying that, at least from my perspective, where I have 2 episodes so far where I can say, hey, these might be in the top 10 of all Game of Thrones episodes, and that had 8 seasons, you know? So we're already off to a really good start. And yeah, I'm like, look at me. I'm somebody that when I said I might not even be on the reviews because like Game of Thrones hype was dead for me after that finale. I was very much ready to say goodbye to it, but they've shown that they can reel you back in, and now I'm every week just like, gotta watch it. And obviously now because I'm on the reviews, but gotta watch it this time. I would be doing it at any point if we weren't reviewing them because, man, it'd be a good thing. Targaryen. Well, I don't want to be Travi Targaryen. I don't mind about the alliteration, but
I would love to see with just some nice like blonde not even blonde, like silver white extensions, especially like what Corliss has. You know, they're like kind of dreads.
We should do that, Taylor, if you're still listening, and maybe he'll listen after. The same way we did our Avengers Endgame poster for next season of House of Dragon.
Oh yeah,
we should do a Targaryen poster of all of us with the long fucking hair. We gotta
yeah.
do that. Yeah. So Taylor, that's your job for the future. But yeah,
I don't even want to like pitch who I would like want to be, because like I just totally trust Taylor to like pick me as a perfect person. That being said, he's probably gonna have me. There's gonna be like a really deformed cripple next season, and you're gonna be
Viserys. Kirklin with the blotches.
Oh no, it's in the universe now. He's gonna do it.
100%. Like I don't know who we would pick. Like I feel like I'm not trying to give myself the bad boy thing, but I feel like I would get the Daemon thing.
You would get the Daemon.
I feel like Taylor get like the Aemon or whoever the little kid this episode that had.
I was gonna say you could be Otto. That would be a good one for Taylor.
Oh, he has to have the white hair. We got to get him all. We got all have the white hair,
Targaryens.
right? Because that's gonna flash. So who knows? We caught all the Travi told you sip up a few pods ago. I'd love to see it. Oh man, I'm happy, very much happy. Big Wumbo, you're listening to Travis told you. I'm definitely not going to trademark Travi told you so you can take that one all you want. But yeah, let's get into this. We're going to take our first ad break, and then the gloves are coming off. So we will be right back. And we're back. So I don't know where to start because we have so many angles and stuff like that.
Tell me who's your team. That's who I'm curious about.
So yeah, we could start there. So like maybe we'll start in the middle and work our way backwards, right? So the incident is you got what's his name, Aemon or Aemon?
Aemon.
Aemon.
Like
so
the guy that stole the
One-Eyed
dragon,
Willie kid. Yeah.
Yeah, One-Eyed Willie.
Yeah. So so he's this little shit. But like, and here's the thing: what's great about Game of Thrones is he's acting like a little shit. But you get all that motivation last week of why he is. He's being teased. He's like almost like the runt of the litter. You know, his brother's constantly like we talked about the pig thing. So you get the motivations of how some of these characters become the way they do. And that's the best thing about Game of Thrones. They're one of the best shows of operating in the gray area. And that's what I like it because you have a side of each perspectives, right? So he steals this dragon. And again, he makes the claim like, well, I took the dragon, it's mine, stuff like that. I proved it was mine. But still, the other kids, Lanier, right? Lanier is how you say the name?
Laenor. There you
Daemon's late wife. It was in their blood right to, or birthright to at least.
So Laenor is the the brother.
Yeah, Laena's recently deceased. Who we got confirmed that baby did not get born either. So that's gone now too. Because we were talking about last week. So it's in their birthright to at least get a shot at this, right? So this leads to a big fight and everything like that. So in this fight, I am team Rhaenyra's kids, Daemon's kids, everything like that. And then when we proceed in the meeting, I'm still team Rhaenyra's and Daemon the whole way. Because the thing is, and that's what's interesting. We didn't get to because the problems. We didn't get to who really started this because the issues got so big. Who started the fight didn't matter anymore. But One-Eyed Willie definitely was in the wrong in all this. He took the dragon. He's talking about the eye and everything like that. There's multiple times he looked like he was just going to execute a kid if he wasn't stopped. So it's like there could have been a reverse. If they didn't cut his eye, he would have killed one of their kids. So that's where no one gets that full explanation why. And he kind of just says, oh, like it was my fault, but an eye for a dragon, it's worth the trade. Where he kind of like cops to it just to get like his mother like out of shit a little bit. And that's where for me, when you go back to all of it, obviously we start talking about bastards and sleeping accusations and bloodlines and wife, everything. When you go back to it, no one ever asked. They said, hey, why did Aemon take that fucking dragon? So right away, to me, it's like he was in the wrong. No matter what happened, that you knew that would have started. You also have 4 kids together, specifically saying the same story of he started, he was trying to kill us, but he took the dragon. So I think that was my problem with Alicent, that the point of origin of the issue was him. Even if he took the dragon and like he could have tried it and they had no master, still it was in their birthright to get to try at least to take the dragon. So the fact that he did something underhand to me showed okay. And sure, she's calling Rhaenyra's out, and she's completely right about like the adultery, everything like that. But like, what's his name says with the dreads? It's I can't remember.
Corlys.
Corlys. I got to pull up
Corlys.
IMDb. I'm glad you know all these names.
I got it right here.
Yeah, okay, perfect. He says, and this is where everyone operates. So Allison, she might be right, but she's in the wrong as far as the political system. It's not about the blood, it's about the name. So the fact that she's said this, and luckily her sons tried to cover for her, Aegon did, like, oh, we all know it, but the king last episode specifically said, don't speak this to anyone else. And now you got this episode where her kids are just fucking going off, talking bastards. So I thought, one, I'm already Team Rhaenyra and Dame because I like those characters, but I also thought Alicent was they were very sloppy all around. And they even kind of talk about that after. So I am that team through and through. Yes. Okay. I feel true and true. Do I feel comfortable on the team about a girl getting her brains fucked out and the next day being like, uncle, I need your help? Not necessarily. I don't know if I like being on that team, but I am on that team. So that's where I am.
Yeah, I feel like...
Stop calling him uncle. You fucked. It's over. Just call him Damon from now on. No more uncle. He's your husband. Drop it. But she didn't. She called him uncle and then gave him this big address. Stop it. It's over. No uncle.
Since the show started, I was on Team Rhaenyra for sure. Like, just that was the way it was. I feel like Daemon, I was loving like what he was showing, and then he just was doing some sus things. I'm like, I don't know about Daemon, but Rhaenyra, like that's my protagonist throughout the show, so I'm gonna be rooting for her. And like Daemon's doing sus shit. I'm loving the character, but for like rooting for him at that point in the show, I was like, I don't know. He's a little like I don't know. I feel like he's not even on Rhaenyra's side at certain points of the show, and maybe he's not even still. But at that point, I was like, hey, Team Rhaenyra. But then also, I'm just like so annoyed with this little fucking annoying kid that's just like so sour of like, oh, I just didn't get a dragon. And so like when it was starting and like from Shay's side, she was the one that was like defending him because it was like, oh no, he was getting picked on last week. Like he's like taking things into his own hands, which is completely fine. But in my eyes, I'm like, that's GTA, man. Like that's Grand Theft Dragon that he pulled off right there. Like he just stole this dragon. And like when he was going up to it, like, Shay's like, oh, this is so exciting. This is where we were really like feeling divided because I'm like, I hope this dragon just fucking burns him alive.
I hope
he's
get burned too. Yeah, it'd have been a funny episode.
So I'm like so in that camp, and then Shay's like, no, he's gonna fly into King's Landing. Everyone's gonna see him. It's gonna be so hype. I'm like, no, man. And I'm like, that was so fun for us because I feel like we've never been on like so opposite sides. So again, it felt like a fight night of just like watching like a sports team where like one person's rooting for one. So all in all, we had such a fun time watching this episode.
Use this cut out a year later when Kirklin and Shay are no longer together. It felt like fight night.
It all started on episode 7.
It all started with One-Eyed Willie.
It all started with One-Eyed Willie. Yeah, so I was completely in that camp. And then when, he gets the dragon and whatnot, and then Lena's kids come out, and it's like, that, like, you stole my mom's dragon. Like, that was, like, my chance to
recently
take it. Like, well, you didn't, And he's not even, like, all, like, you guys see me? Like, I mastered dragon. It's like, well, you should have done it. And then, like, calling them bastards right away. So, like,
maybe
again,
you can get a pig.
You can get a pig.
He's turned into his brother from last week.
Like, absolutely. And it's just, like, it doesn't matter if he's getting bullied or not. Like, this is like the most privileged child in all of the existence of this world. Like, his father's the king. He can do whatever the fuck he wants. Who cares if he doesn't have a dragon? Like, these people, like, there's kids out there who don't have families that are like,
it's probably just because his brother's teasing him. He's this entitled now where I need to find a dragon.
And it's like, I deserve it. Like, I deserve it. I have the silver hair. So, like, for that reason, I just hate that character. And, like, Aemon, Aegon. There you go, the public masturbator. I love
Aegon, man. He gives
He's entertaining.
Fucks. Yeah,
he does give no fucks.
That's what I love. He's just he's getting drunk on the side. He's masturbating.
Yeah.
And I love
he doesn't want the throne.
No, he doesn't want it. Not like Jon Snow. He was ahead of his time, that Targaryen Jon Snow, because like
100%.
just like his ancestors, he did not want it. But I love that during the funeral, everyone's like very, other than Daemon, who's fucking laughs at one point, but everyone else was very sad, very solemn. And they just go to Aegon, and he's like rolling his eyes like, fuck, can we just get on with this? Like he just wants to be anywhere else but here. And I love, he's very entertaining. I can't wait to see where that character ends up. I think he's just going to be a big shithead throughout now,
And we're getting like a time skip again, right? Next week?
That's what I was going to tell you. Yeah, that's in the preview. Yeah. They're all the actors are aged up, so.
Like the kids.
Yeah. So, okay. And now in retrospect, I didn't know that was happening. Now I'm still bummed because I will still stand by. I think you could have got a full season with those young actresses. So many storylines that we skipped over that like I'm that's where I'm torn. Where I'm very happy we're getting this episode, but it also just feels like it did the Mario thing where I went in a pipe and skipped over like a whole world because
Yeah.
it would have been a slower burn, but I still would have loved to have seen a full season of everything, the wedding, the stuff, the first child being born and not having hair. Like, but anyway, so we don't have that, which I don't actually know where the fuck that baby was this whole episode. Where was Rhaenyra's baby?
Oh yeah, the new one, eh? Yeah, we didn't even see it. No, we
I think
didn't see it at all.
the funeral. I think she was holding it, right? Maybe no.
I don't think so because she just like showed up, or like
Yeah.
maybe initially at the funeral. I
She
didn't
handed it
even
off to
notice.
some maiden or something. But yeah, so newborn somewhere in this world and stuff like that. But now, if you were to tell me the end goal was, hey, we want to get it to these main characters dealing with their kids, now I do understand, okay, why we had to lose them. Because I was like, why is Viserys the same? Why is Matt Smith the same? Why is Christian Cole the same? But it makes sense because these are the people that are having the children. They gotta look more motherly. So you can't have Molly Alcock like here with a 16-year-old while she's 22 or Millie. Fuck every time. You can't have her with a 16-year-old while she's looking 22 or something like that, right?
Right.
So I do get it now. I still think they didn't need to do that right away in one season, but now I get okay because they show Aemon and he's completely like full, like I think they're playing him as a 16, 17-year-old, but the guy they got kind of looks like a man. Like he looks like he's an not old dude. I shouldn't say that, but he looks like old enough where they're jumping pretty far again, which I don't know how I feel again because same thing. We ended with in this whole mess of I know we're jumping all over, but we got Daemon and Rhaenyra getting married. I would like to see the next episode follow up of that. I wouldn't want to jump 10 years.
Yeah.
But it looks like we're jumping 10 years again. So it's like even then, I would love to see Viserys' first reaction to when he finds out his daughter and his brother are married. But we're never going to get that.
They
We're
like
never gonna
eloped
get that.
too. Like that's so juicy. Like has that ever been done before? And like such like a like that's like she's the what would it be like the queen in waiting or whatever the hell that term is. Like she's the
Viserys
future
dies,
queen. Yeah. So like that is such a big deal, and it's just nope. We're gonna be jumping years, and who knows? Maybe they'll. No, I can't even see them doing like a what would it be called, like a flashback of like that happening. It's just gonna be like, oh, I've hated that moment ever since. You know?
I hope I would love it if even the first 15 to 20-minute episode or 20 minutes of that episode next week was covering some of this, and then they jump forward because it's just like that was always I remember with Star Wars. It's like, well, every Star Wars has a big jump, and I was like, well, you can't jump in Last Jedi with Rey and Luke. I want to see the interaction. And I was glad we didn't jump. So I feel the same thing here. Like I don't want to jump to miss Viserys' reaction to the both of them, and I'm never going to see that. That to me feels like it's a big missed opportunity. So that's where I'm always so torn of like ranking this at the end of the year, where I think there's great stuff in here, but there's stuff about the show I think almost could have been still better. You know, like it's so good, but they could even just like one more episode or one more this or one more few scenes, like it could be even better. And that's what's a little frustrating with the show, that it just feels like they're speeding for some reason. They thought we were going to be bored by some of the stuff. It's like, everyone was even fine with the young people stuff. Like no one was bored with that. So it's just like almost like question themselves like, no one would really want to see this portion of the story. It's like, absolutely, I do, you know?
And like if they're making the argument of like, well, we didn't know if it was going to be popular before like a season 2, you know, for setting stuff up. But it's like, it's fucking Game of Thrones, man. Like, seriously.
And now they said
like,
the rumor is they have this planned out to at least 4 seasons. So it's like, well, you guys were already thinking about doing more. So I don't know.
And like, are they going to keep this pace going forward in future seasons?
Every 5 episodes, 10 years.
Yeah.
10 years.
That's
Viserys 100 years old, so he's just like brittle and bones.
He's outliving fucking everyone. Like Rhaenyra dies off before he does.
That's what I was gonna say though. The only hope that I think we have of it is if next week we jump forward and Viserys is dead, which I don't think he will be because like that fucker's hanging on forever. But if he is dead, maybe we do get a scene of her flashing back to that conversation she had with her dad, because that would also suck too if he's just dead and they never flash back. We never really get a scene of Viserys talking to Rhaenyra, at least the same way. At least last week we had that thing where Alicent and Viserys blew up, so it's like, okay, this is a decade's worth of anger. We're seeing it now. They've probably had this conversation many times before, but we're kind of playing catch up. If he's dead, we don't even get that at all. So that's why I think he's not dead. I think he's still going to be hanging on, and he might be missing a lot. Like, he's going to look even worse because in that preview I saw for next week, they didn't show him at all. So it's either he's dead or what he looks like is really bad. And I think it's going to be that. He's going to be looking really bad. So. Oh, no. Man, so happy. He was not happy this episode.
He was not happy this episode. And he was a lot more lively, though. Like, even, like, he wasn't even in, like, his little wheelchair thing. Like, he was at least crawling, or not crawling around, but dragging himself around.
Stop it! We're a family! He's looking up at everybody.
That was so funny, though, like, the opening of this episode. Because, like, I don't know, just a lot of travel this weekend. So again, my brain was a little fuzzy. So when it opened, I'm like, oh yeah, Viserys died last week. So like this is his funeral, like big moment. And I see him standing there. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, how is this guy still alive? Like I just completely assumed that he kicked the bucket. And then Shay reminded me that it was Lena. And
he's
like
gonna outlive
again,
them all. He's gonna outlive them all.
he really will be. It was tough to discern what was happening, even because like you have Damon, who was like that's supposed like that was his wife that died, and he's there just like chuckling, but it just goes to show how like cold of a character he is. But what were we talking before that with the like I guess the team setting Rhaenyra and
we're talking the issue he lost an eye, so which was brutal. When that happened, it's like, oh my god.
And
I like when she's like, will it heal? And his eyes like pretty much all sutured over. It's like, no, dog, it's not, it's not
I don't think
back.
so.
Yeah. And even the doctor's like, oh, it'll heal. He's just lost an eye. It's like I don't know if that's what she meant, but yeah, he got fucked up.
Like that scrap too. Like that was such a like everything. Like he was like so many noses were punched in this quick instant, and it's like okay, he's punching like the angry like sons. That's one thing, but like when the daughters went over and he just fucking squared them in the face, it was like a Joffrey level where I'm like fucking murder this kid. Like when Rhaenyra's son, I forget all their names. I think one of them is Jace. The bastards. Yeah,
Jace. Jace is the oldest one. Yeah.
So was it Jace that grabbed the knife initially?
Yeah,
he pulled it out. Yeah, I was like fucking just shank him 3 times, and then like when that didn't happen, like all the kids were just gang beating him. I'm like just fucking beat him. Like I was getting so hyped in this moment again.
And then he terminated his way
for a child to die, but
yeah, it's all fictional. It's all fictional.
It's all fictional, exactly.
Yeah. And then he terminated his way out of there, just owned all. It's like fuck, Sir Christian's training you good.
Just grabbed the one kid by the throat. Yeah, I know. And he's
Sir
like
Christian,
the smallest out of all of them.
Sir Christian and him are like in Batman Begins, Christian Bale and Ra's al Ghul fighting on the ice. Like that's what they're doing in their spare time. Like this guy became Batman.
Again.
Yeah. Your father led to that. Like he became Batman before my eyes. He turned to Robert Pattinson. Like because I thought he had him down and someone's just gonna come break it up. But then the second he's like chucking people, kicking him by the throat. And like I said, so he had that little kid by the throat and with the rock multiple times. So I don't think they were wrong to like go for. Now I think he probably could have just cut him. It would have been fine. The eye was a big move. But if you were thinking but he did, yeah. But I guess if you're thinking, hey, he might take your brother's life, then it's worth the eye, So it was good comeuppance for last week when they kind of bossed the kids around, right, a little because they weren't as well trained and stuff. So it's obviously it was still a 4v, but he started the fight really,
And I feel like that's another thing too why I was like so for like Rhaenyra's like even though I'm like voting for Rhaenyra, and in the political voting scheme, I don't think they have that in this realm, but like just the way that like her kids are treated, like it's not their fault that like they've done nothing wrong. Like they were just born into this world, and everyone and like especially like Alicent's kids are just like so spiteful of these like bastards and just like fucking hate them for what they are, and it's just like come on guys, like at the end of the day it's not their fault, but I understand it, it's all for the story or whatnot.
But that's probably a lot of their mother too, like probably speaking down to them and taking on stuff, and that's what the king knows, and that's what he's like. It's so
he's realized it finally in this episode. He's like the fucking slowest character in the whole season.
Well, it's tough though. Like I always go back and forth with him of like, does he realize or is he just
putting blinders on or something.
For the purpose of like he's gonna die any day now, and he just was. And honestly though, like I feel like this is what they're trying to insinuate, that this is the first time this has happened, whether it's bastards or people not acting blindly. Because if you look at Alicent, that entire room is completely fine just to go with the lie, and that's where like Alicent is, right? But that's where I think it's kind of he's operating that system where if there's ever been a lie, you just go with it. If it's in paper that these people are married and they have children, that's their children. You don't question it. You don't do anything else unless someone were to admit otherwise. So I think she's somebody, you look at where she came from, right? The outside. Hightower had her fucking just going there talking about his Lego and everything like that. Where all the rest of them are like, they have been bred from like kings and queens, like other people, right? So they all know how to play the game, where she is not a part of that lineage in the exact sense. So that's where, and he could be, because there's definitely sometimes where he talks about things being a fool. But the reason why I don't think he was a fool is because I don't know why I felt like he was trying to almost get the queen killed because he just kept asking, who did you hear this from? And he kept looking over at Allison. And I feel like he was just trying to get one of those kids to say Allison, so he would have like a reason to get rid of her, and everyone would completely understand. The Crypt Keeper's got to be the best character. And you might not be wrong, like interesting wise. And I always gotta say this: I've never seen this actor or anything else. I'm gonna be sad when he dies because this guy's phenomenal. I've never seen him in anything, but he's so good. That scene tonight when he's like, "We're a family. Like we just need to get in line, get this." Like he's just trying the best to get everyone in order. And yeah, this guy just, oh man, damn good actor. So I hope to see him a lot more after this.
In like, again, I was kind of goofing around just calling him like aloof and stuff. Like I totally understand like the way that it's portrayed in the show. But honestly, I think this was like the highlight episode for me with this character because like it really just showed his camp of like, it's like, it seemed like moments like he's kind of losing grip on like the situation. Like everybody just love everybody, you know. Like he's preaching that Jackie Moon and Semi Pro, but also like it is that where it's like this like the functionality of the realm and like just the health of the realm needs everybody to just at least like pretend to love everybody. Like come on, guys,
stay in order.
Like
just
I'm
do your
fucking
job.
King, listen to me exactly. And then I feel like the real cementing moment for like him realizing that it was Allison, you know, playing these political games and just doing political games was when it's like, as your king, I'm ordering you to tell me like who did this, and then very quickly he just like looks at his mom, doesn't say anything,
It's over for you, and that moment I thought it was, you know.
Yeah, I thought it was too, and like there were, and like we haven't even really dissected this overall scene, but there were so many little moments where I was just like on the edge. I'm like, holy fuck, like this is gonna happen here. And even besides that moment, like back to like the schoolyard fight, which was a lot more intense than a schoolyard fight, but like when he picked up like the rock, and I was like, he's actually gonna murder Rhaenyra's kid right here. Like I believed it. I completely believed it. So many times in this episode, I didn't know what was gonna happen. Like it was like real time sports, you know, like overtime moments. Like it was so intense, and I was just eating it all up.
Well, it was great because then he asked, and I love that he just passes the buck to Aegon, just like, well, I heard from your brother.
It's the safest person to throw under the bus. Like the biggest disappointment already.
But just like in classic Game of Thrones, like Aegon, he's still smart enough to just be like, well, everybody knows. And that could be some truth to it, but I feel like that was him saving his mother. Like he may have heard it first from his mom, but he's not going to say that. So him just saying everybody knows, that's just saying like, well, he came up with it himself, and other people talk about it, so you can't really put the blame on him or the queen, even though I think, like I said, that's what the king was wanting, just so. And it's so weird because the age gap, I said this to Emily during the scene, I'm like, I kind of forget these are his actual kids, you know, like these are his sons. I know, like, because sometimes I think that he's like his grandfather. I'm like, no, these are his flesh and blood, which is like, I do get Allison's point of view as far as, and I do like where it shifted, where we started this show where he just wanted a son heir, everything like that. Him and Rhaenyra were not very close together and stuff like that. And then all shit, you know, the baby dies, wife dies, and they get together, like they get closer together, but almost just by default because, well, you're the heir now, and I need someone I can trust. But it now feels like 6 episodes later that he's firmly in Rhaenyra's side and camp, and he's always going to defend her, where I don't think that was the case when the show started. So I like that we have kind of developed into that, and I don't know why. It just feels like he's a lot closer than her, and this is where also the time jumps I think hurts it for us. We have not got to see him have many scenes with his young sons, so I don't feel like they're that close, and maybe they're doing that on purpose to symbol like they aren't that close, that they were just kids to make an heir and stuff like that, because it feels like, to me, his relationship with his sons feels like he's not their father, like he's married into the marriage with the kids, but those are his sons by blood, where Rhaenyra is the same thing as his daughter, but it just feels like that's his almost real family, his real daughter, and these kids are
100%
adoptive kids, which they're not, but and maybe it's because he's just so fucked he hasn't had time to even like bond with them. Maybe he's just so much in pain, it's like he can't be bothered with it, you know.
100%. Yeah, I completely agree. Where it feels like, especially just like he's already stated in the show that like his one true love was Rhaenyra's mom.
Yeah.
Like he didn't want to remarry, he didn't want to do any of this stuff, but it's like his duty to the realm means that he had to. And throughout the show, it's shown that like he's like maybe not in the first episode, but like as the show's gone on, like he's just really been in Rhaenyra's camp and tried to support her and maybe like try to make up for like the moments that he wasn't always there for her and like totally put her on the back burner. And especially now that she's like an adult, like she is going to be the new person on the Iron Throne, and he's like firmly stated that as the show's just being like, and this episode even like shine more light on that of the moment of like right away it wasn't like, oh yeah, let's just do an eye for an eye, like that's the simplest thing. It's like, no, like just apologize, like that's it, like this isn't gonna happen. Alicent again being, you know, she's a little crazy here, but also just like from the mom perspective, it's like, this is your son, like do something here. And then he's just like, no, like let it pass. And then Allison just wouldn't bite her tongue. Like she just kind of pushed that. It's just like, that's not good enough. And that's where I was like really shocked. Like I thought that maybe it's like, okay, she'll take the L here and then just go to the Lego room and like persuade him like she's done all throughout all these years. But that didn't happen. She's like, she went a little bit further and pressed even harder, even without like unsheathing the blade and going right at Rhaenyra. Like even without that, I feel like this has already been an Alicent that we haven't seen before. And like for that aspect, like huge credit to the show of just showing this progression of this character that in the early stages, especially as the younger actress, like she was so like fragile, it seemed, and like really just like did her job, was just trying to be like really supportive and just trying to like become the queen, I guess. And you know,
it's like what Hightower says, right? He says all that, like he didn't know that side existed.
And that was such a great scene too. Oh my gosh, yeah, it was fantastic. But yeah, 100%. He didn't
say much in this episode. He was just a lot doing that Grace Reese Ivan's like, well, like
beat the shit out of Aegon, kicks him, and finds him all passed out next to the
your embarrassment. I just love they're all in this war, and Aegon just gives zero fucks about anything.
Such a great character.
That's one character I'm excited to see, like with the time jump. And I hate that we're losing that actor, but like what is he up to right now? I feel like he's just gonna be like brothling it up and stuff, or maybe he's got in shape. I don't know, but I feel like now it's switched where Aemon is now the front runner to be a king, or like he's gonna be the aggressor, where Aegon's very much just kind of a power pawn, you know.
Otto even shined that too, like right, like when he went to talk to Alicent, it's just like what that boy did, like for us, like it's a power move for our team. So that I completely agree with you. I think Aegon's just totally gonna be the brothler, but who knows? I don't know. I'm not too well versed in the histories of the Targaryens. Maybe it's a surprise.
Well, I hope in that brothel that he has some nice clean balls, because that's what you want to be doing with Manscaped. Go to manscaped.com, because welcome to fresh ball fall. It's the season of pumpkin spice and making sure your crotch looks nice. That means sipping cider in the fall breeze and using Manscaped products to trim your balls with ease. That's right. Today's show is brought to you by Manscaped, a company that has to make sure that your foliage isn't shedding excessive leaves. Heck, even Mother Nature knows it's time to lose the excessive clutter for fall. Join 6 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped by going to manscaped.com to get 20% off, free worldwide shipping with the podcast code GVPOD. You got tons of stuff going on right there. I saw, which I'm very excited. I got to ask them for, and I probably just by myself. They have like a new like foliage brush. I'm not sure if you've seen this email. It's like a actual shower one. They have a new package right now. What is the actual name they're calling it? It is the Platinum package, and it just has a bunch of stuff. With this glorious package, you can align your entire hygiene routine all in one swoop. Inside is a 10-part Platinum package, so it's pretty much offering everything you can get. The 4.0, this new scrub, the ball deodorants, the actual hair, the shampoo, everything like that. And they're completely right, because now you're going to get that time where you're going to get inside. Now that you're not walking around in swimsuits or outside, you're going to forget. You're going to maybe let your hairy area go a little bit, but you don't want to be doing that. You don't want to get out of control. You saw what happened in the scene tonight when things got out of control. People are getting stabbed. They're losing eyes. You don't want your bush to be so big that when someone takes their pants off, they might lose an eye. You know, one thing can do that, but not the bush. You don't want that going on. So you got to be going to Manscaped and getting this podcast code right now and using it, I guess, to get all these products. And you just got everything. Lip balm, like boxers, shirts, like I said, the 4.0, the plow, which is my favorite to use on the face, the ball deodorants that Taylor's just like swiffing around. Hopefully the hospital's okay with that. I hope he doesn't like light a match by or anything like that, because he uses a lot of it, you know. But lots of good stuff over there. Kirklin Patzer, good stuff.
It's
I had
absolutely
nothing
good
else
stuff.
to say to you.
No, every time I see these episodes, or not these episodes, just different episodes of Game of Thrones when there's just like a brothel scene, and I'm like, man, I can't believe these people don't have access to Manscaped. Because like, how do you even access certain, I don't know, entry points, I could say, to sexual activity? I don't know why I try to say
Not
it
in
like
a
that,
good
but
way. Not
in a good way.
Yeah.
So, you know, you might have to get your own, like, pull out your sword to like hack away at it, but then you're just, you're nicking
Like,
everything.
are they killing me or are they shaving me? I don't know, but you don't got to worry about
I don't know, but with
Manscaped.
the lawnmower 4.0, you're never having that issue. And like, you got the LED light in there, you can do it all sorts of day. Lighting in this episode was goddamn awful, but it would, like, if one of the characters, like during that sex scene, Damon and Rhaenyra, if they had the lawnmower 4.0, I would have seen everything. So, I mean, yeah, no, great visibility. I just got back from a fabulous hike up in the Banff area, big mountains there, and I was all, like very aerodynamic, no friction going up the hill. So I had a record time, but I could just
No
tell.
extra sweat.
I could tell, like, there's a couple big dudes walking up the hill, and you can tell they're in pain in that nether regions because they don't have access. So
And then you
I didn't give them
out,
mine. I didn't give them mine, but I gave them a reference code.
Yeah,
Manscaped.
GVPOD.
Go get yourself GVPOD 20% off.
You're
Worldwide
absolutely right
shipping,
about that
all that good
lighting.
stuff.
That lighting, man. That would
Oh,
they
yeah.
would if they would have had a Manscaped light in there, they would have got a lot done and everything like that. So make sure to go use that podcast.
Like, hold
right
on,
now.
1 second. Zzz, you just-
Exactly. And the good thing is now you can do it now or down the line if you think, oh, I'm going to wait till Christmas, buy myself one. I bought my dad one last year. He loved it. We're with Manscaped for the rest of the year, baby. So you got all year to
Yeah.
use and multiple products too. So if you want to go, okay, I'm going to try one out, see how it is. One, you're going to get hooked because we just buy and get all the other products because it's good stuff. But you'll get all year to try that out. So Manscaped, go do that.
Absolutely. And like, especially now we're entering like the spooky season, Halloween's around the corner. You don't want to bring the spooky season to the bedroom
No,
by any means.
Your
shouldn't be
nether
spooky
region
in
should
there.
not be scaring people. That should be
100%.
the romantic comedy, not the romantic comedy in a good way. Not like people are laughing. I mean the way like just laugh before and then romantic. You don't want to be looking like Michael Myers, Jason, anything like that. You
No.
want to be looking like I don't know. One of the final girls or men, whoever the good guy people are, you want to be looking like them, and that's what you can do with Manscaped. So let's take an ad break as well, and we'll be right back because we still got lots to talk about with this big meeting. So we'll be right back. And we're back. So yeah, what I can't remember. Oh, this is the point I wanted to talk about in that. So we get that moment, yeah, of like who told you, blah, blah, we went over that. I love when she won the eye. Very bold. I would not have done it that way, but she's just like overwhelmed with emotion. I love that Sir Christian, even him had a line. I don't even think it's so much as far as like he cares for the kids. I think it's more just so he knows like this could fucking kill him. I love when he's like, Sir Christian, you're going to get me that eye. You're sworn to me. And he goes, I'm sworn as your protector. And that was like that. Oh my God. Cause it was such a good scene. Cause he like stepped before he said it. Cause like, oh fuck, he's going to make a move and stuff like that. But he said, oh, just to protect you.
Is that what he said?
Yes.
I thought it was like he's going to do it.
No, he said, I'm sworn to protect you. So inferring that I will protect you from damage, fight, kill, but I'm not going to do this. And that's why he didn't move any further. And that's why she grabbed the blade herself because he wouldn't do it. So I love that. Like, I'm just sworn to protect you, nothing more. And that's what's going to suck is because same thing. Next episode, I would love to see another conversation with Viserys because he completely ignored her in that trolley, wanted nothing to do with her. And same thing with Sir Christian. Like, what do they talk about after? So I hate that we're doing the time jump again because we're missing out on stuff I'd love to happen. But he did eventually go over there. But that's where I was like, just when Damon walked in this room, like, fuck, this is the wrong person to have in this room. And man, what a face off. You got her with the knife coming, Rhaenyra stops her. You got Sir Christian coming in, Damon stops him. It's like, oh my God. And yeah, at that point, it's going to be interesting. And that's why I think the time jump does help because you have the fucking the former hand's son just being like, I'll get you that eye. But she does say that line like, well, I will need your help, but one day, and then hence the time jump. But it is now she put herself in a vulnerable situation of she showed her hand, Allison, and now everyone does look at her like she said, like the Mad Queen. It's like, yeah, you got that. Yeah, it's
the
like,
line that Rhaenyra gave her too. It's like now everybody sees you as you are, and I was just like, oh, I think it was even in the trailers, but like still to hear it like after that whole event happened, and
it's
like
completely
it's
true.
almost like Rhaenyra was like baiting her in that moment.
little,
like,
yeah.
come on, like play your hand here.
And even if Allison is telling the complete truth, no one's going to listen to her now because it's like, oh, she's the one that almost stabbed one of the king's grandchildren.
She did.
You know?
She drew. Well, she drew blood, right, for like the
on
the
daughter.
future queen.
Yeah. So I mean, like tried to take the eye of one of the grandchildren
Oh, yeah,
too.
yeah.
Like no matter what happened in that scene, not good for her. So geez, I'm spinning up like a motherfucker on this chair. I went to go just. But like no matter what happened in that scene, it was not good for Allison and for people believing her in the future.
No, and again, like that's what was so interesting because like she had already developed so much. Like she's starting to like really show her hand of no, Viserys, you should be looking out for your like, okay, Rhaenyra's your blood, but like this is your firstborn son here. Like this should be so much more, I don't know, important to you of this like this moment, like an eye for an eye. That's pretty fair. And then,
even though I don't think that should be the way you should do it, though.
No, 100%
if it was provoked, it's like no, that's not how it works. Like if he provoked the situation and he's gonna fucking slam rocks on my grandchildren as well, not exactly, but.
Yeah, and I was like hoping Viserys to just be like, no, like this council's done. Like you and I can speak later on, and like that's where it's like, oh, that would have been a really power move from a king to do, but
because she also called him out in front of everybody,
weak.
which you're not supposed to. Remember, he was pissed in the wedding when she came out by herself, like late.
Yeah,
this was even worse of just saying, "What are you gonna do? This is insufficient." She said. Oof.
Yeah, no, I was pretty shocked, and again, like I was wanting Viserys to do a little bit more, but again, he was kind of like coming from the peacekeeper camp. He didn't.
Yes.
Again, he's Jackie Moon in semi-pro. Everybody love everybody. That's his motto there. But just think about the Kristen Cole thing. That totally shocks me because I thought he was gonna do it, and I'm like, man, like why is no one upset in this moment that like he's gonna just take the eye out of like the future queen's son? Like they're just gonna let that happen, but it makes a lot more sense the way that you laid it out. But I feel like I had another thing there just with Alicent's just showing her card, and it's one of those things where like the liquid spilled out of the bottle. You can never get that back in the bottle of being like,
Pandora's
oh yeah, no,
box.
she's cool, you know, but like remember that one time when she tried to fucking kill Rhaenyra? Like that was pretty wild. And like one of my favorite characters in this overall scene too was just Daemon. He was just like on the side. He just like banged Rhaenyra, you know, he just got post-nut clarity. He's just like living life. He's probably sipping wine. And then he's just seen this fallout brawl. And for once, he's not the center of the drama. Like they're not even mentioning him at all. And he's just like creeping on the wall. You know, he interjected at one point when he like basically chose his side, if it wasn't already clear, stepping in front of Kristen, he's kind of been at odds with, or is that the best way to say that? He's been confronting him, I guess, throughout the entire show. Daemon and Kristen, they've kind of been
they got
head to head.
Dick measuring competition.
Dick measuring contest, yeah.
Now Sir Christian's like had to watch two guys that weren't him bang Rhaenyra again. You know, like he's just like, what's going on? You know, could have been you, dude. You should have just said yes on the boat. You stuck around King's Landing the whole fucking time. Could have been you, but whatever.
I know, biggest bitch in all of Game of Thrones history. I was even saying to Shay, because in that moment, that's when I thought he was actually going to do it, and I'm like, okay, this is going to be like major repercussions here. Like this has got to be jail time or something. I don't know. I don't know the rules of King's Land or whatnot, but I was just like, I want to see this guy's head roll. Like fucking execute this guy. Like he was gonna go up there and just take the kid's eye. But again, I was completely mistaken there. But I don't know. Maybe they could have made that a little bit clearer. Because I don't think I'm alone in that sense that they like I took it.
Are you saying not alone as far as Shay would back you up on that?
And Marco.
Yeah, I heard him.
Everyone in my household would agree.
Yeah. No, that's what I took just because I was like very curious of like he's her ride and die, but that's the one time because that's the only reason I think I'm right is just because he didn't move, she had to move, right? Like she took the knife, so
yeah.
I think that was her last. Like he's not gonna do it, then I'm just gonna do it. And at least you could chalk up to she's emotionally upset, but yeah, it's
and like even like the what's his name, the Lord Commander of the King's Guard, because Kristen Cole is like the second in command, right? In that point,
he's looking over,
just looks at him. It's like,
fuck, what do
fuck?
I do? Yeah, I should have become a baker like my father before me.
He's a good look for a baker too, the big mustache that he's got.
And that's the guy. He's in The Witcher. He's in this, and I can't remember who he is, but he's also in Rings of Power. So people say like he's the Thanos of fantasy shows. He's just like popping up and all this stuff. So there you go. Yeah, you mentioned it. We haven't really talked about it. And again, now that I understand there's a time jump, I get this. But I was very shocked that we got Rhaenyra and Daemon both getting it on and getting married in this episode. Now, again, when you tell them we're going to jump 5 to 10 years, okay, I get it. Now we have to do it. So, again, I go, well, you still could have made us wait and told some more story, but I guess what? It's been 7 episodes. They've been, teasing us and whatnot. And it happened again. Game of Thrones, I will say, not that's a negative. It's just like I have to like kind of adjust to it. It's just like anytime a sex scene is about to happen, I'm like, oh man, this is going to get uncomfortable. And this was a very like PG-13 sex. I'm not saying that's a bad thing,
They've
but like
kind of all been that way.
pretty much. But this was the most like lots of clothes still left on. I was like, okay, they got it on
Darkness too. I'm like,
yeah, I can't see shit. Is that Matt Smith's dick or not? But like,
I was looking for it.
yeah, I was too. It has to be massive. Like, we saw Morbius. He got some moves, but no, that happened. And like I said, they got married. And you know, I don't know if I can say good because of the situation, but I guess I can say good because hey, that's what they did back then. This family, and she does have a point of getting the bloodlines and stuff. I think there's more exciting stuff to talk about what happened at the end with the result of the marriage and how they kind of fixed that, which I think that might be a break from canon. I'll bring up after you're talking, but I like it enough. Like I still, it's weird. I think that he might have better chemistry with Millie, and there's like a big age gap, but also they had multiple episodes together. This is still just episode 2, so maybe that will also, and they are kind of playing estranged, right, where they haven't seen each other in a long time, but it didn't matter. The second they saw each other, they got it on like Donkey Kong, you know.
The younger Rhaenyra just seemed a lot more horny than the older Rhaenyra in those moments. She just seemed totally just ready to just tackle Daemon in those moments. And I don't know that. It was funny though, like the couple of looks that Rhaenyra was giving him, like at the funeral, just like strolling by and just like giving him the look, giving him like a little smirk here and there. And I'm just like, for fuck's sakes, these two, like come on, at the funeral, they're eye fucking each other.
Yeah.
But again,
Allison was even like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" Right? Like, there's a look at one point. She looks at her, she's like,
that was so funny when Rhaenyra first comes out of the funeral and she just like locks eyes with Daemon, and then she looks over and Allison's just like giving her that look, like, "Are you fucking kidding me?
Calm down, get back there, calm down." And that's why I do get Allison why she popped in this episode, like she snapped because she's just a lot of stress. But it was just funny, just Allison's eyes, just like a friend being like, "Don't go back there, don't
go back there," right? And I feel like Rhaenyra's moves. You know, like I guess she's just still in love with Daemon. I was gonna say her uncle, but I don't like saying that. So she's still in love with Daemon. But like from this, like, so I guess what I'm trying to say here is like the comparison between like the younger Rhaenyra versus the older Rhaenyra. I feel like the younger Rhaenyra was making these decisions for just like horny levels, like she was just ready to get it on, and this one is like a political, like this makes sense, like this strong bond between the blood ties.
She is kind of just like that was just a horny impulse, you know.
But I feel like even like leading up to it, like she was still like talking about like certain.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah,
I don't know, like just complaining about her husband, how fucking useless he is. They tried to bone, it just didn't work at all. Yeah, did not go well, and just I don't know, missed him. But yeah, you're not wrong. So there was the horny levels there, but especially like afterwards when they have that conversation in like High Valyrian when it's daylight, we can actually see what's going on after everyone kind of sails back home, which was like a great dialogue. The setting looked beautiful too. It's a shot that we had seen in the trailer. Visually, it looked beautiful. It looked like they were actually like seen out in the ocean. So I loved it. It looked fantastic. But when they actually like when she basically proposed like the marriage in that moment, like it just makes sense. The blood tie here. I didn't like. She's like just like Aemon the Conqueror and his sisters back in the day. I'm like, oh my god, this family. This whole.
You know what I'm talking about. You're like, no man.
Yeah.
You missed the point on that one, but here we are. You know. So.
Yeah.
And it happens in Game of Thrones later on, right? Uncle and a niece,
it's
or
true,
uncle and a nephew, or an aunt and a nephew get together. So
yeah.
And remember in the finale of Game of Thrones, like the problem was not that they were related. It was just like, well, she kind of went a little mad. They never once were like, we're related. We shouldn't do that. They're like, it sucks. And then they just kept going. It's like, okay, fuck.
McQueen.
So yeah, Targaryens, they don't give a shit. They just gonna bang it out one way or the other and everything like that. But they do give a shit at least about the marriage ties, and this is where I could be wrong, because this is where I look up, and I'm glad that they did get married this season, because I felt like I spoiled it for you. But then when they got married in this episode, I'm like, oh fuck, we got to in season 1. I thought this was gonna be like a season 2-3 thing when they got married. I was like, oh, this is gonna be a while, but no, they got. I think, and I could be wrong, because this is when I was reading like it was months ago before the show came out, and that's how I knew, okay, these two characters get married. I thought that she was still married to Laenor, right? That's Laenor. And I thought how it went is she took 2 husbands, the same way Daemon when he proposed the marriage.
That would make sense, right? Because like that's been a theme throughout the families. Because he even said Aemon Aegon.
Aegon, the original. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what I was going
Aegon did that. He had the 2 wives, and then
Yeah.
like why? And
And that's what I thought they were set up, and he referred. And I could be wrong. I'm not saying that, but I thought that she took on the 2 husbands, and I'm not sure if they wrote them out later or something like that. I could search it up, but like I don't care because I'm going with the shows. So either way, that was a throw right too, because I thought that. So the idea is, okay, we can't get married while you're wedded, right? So okay, we're gonna get the lover to take out Laenor, and then when they started fighting, because I thought it was gonna happen that this was gonna backfire, that the lover was gonna accept the money, and then he was gonna talk to Laenor and be like, hey, this is what they're trying to fucking do, and it was gonna get like 10 times worse. And then when he pulled the sword, I was like, oh my god, like. No, I'm like, I guess they're not really in love at all. He just wants to get this cash. But then they did the big switcheroo, and he ran out. And I do like that because I liked Laenor enough, but I think there's more stuff going on that I'm interested in. So I thought this was a fun way to write him off. Shaved his head, very smart to get rid of that.
Yeah.
Sucks for that family that's going to think they're dead. Their son is dead the
Very
entire
tragic.
time. And that's going to be a lot of bad shit that falls on them because, like she says, people are going to whisper out this, and Damon's like, let them whisper. But it's like, still lots of consequences for this. But after, in 1 hour, he's talking about he's going to be a better husband, better father. 2 hours later, he's choosing the dick. And he's like, I'm just going to fucking get on this boat and let me get out of here, and I hope he's happy.
And like because in that moment, I mean, again, like it all started when they're kind of, Rhaenyra was proposing the marriage, like let's do this, and he's like, Laenor's gotta die in order that happens. Like, if he dies, essentially is what she said, and I was just like, holy shit! Like I knew they were getting married, so I knew we were gonna get here at some point, but like. Still pretty tragic. Like this guy, like unfortunately, just at the times they just can't accept him for who he is, for sexual orientation, and he just like can't live his own life. He's just like live this lie, and
I
then
should
he's
have been here. That's what our house motto should be.
and then he's just gonna get fucking murdered by like his lover. I'm like, this is so sad here. He's gonna like just lose in like Mortal Kombat. And I was totally like buying into it, but like right before that happened, you see Daemon snap someone's neck, and I thought it was just like so the murderer can get into the castle.
Me too.
I didn't really think too much of it, and I'm like, this is so crazy. Like they actually murdered him, and Shay's like, Shay's like at the end of the couch. She's like, no, they're not. Like, what are you talking about? Like we just saw Daemon snap. I'm like. Oh, you're smart. Like I did not catch on.
That's a full preview of or full showing of women being smarter than men. Because like the body fell down. I'm like, man, let's fucking kill him. And she's like, no, that's not that. Like that's that guy. I'm like, oh. Right. Like I think I would have got there. Like I was gonna get there before the reveal, but Emily definitely got there before. I'm like, oh yeah, you're so smart, because I thought they were trying to show something with like the necklace or something, and I was like, does this mean something that I missed on? I was so like perplexed, but yeah, no, same thing. She got before me. I was like, well, that makes a lot of sense, and I was happy because I think that would have been a turn where I think Rhaenyra may have to do something like that, but I still feel like now her flaws are she's being selfish and she's not doing what she was kind of supposed to do. But she's not got to that level where I feel like she's going out like what happened last week, where fucking Allison kind of indirectly had her husband or like her lover and her lover's father killed. She hasn't crossed that line yet. And I thought this was that time, oh man, she's going to cross that fucking line. I don't really want her to, at least on this guy. And I
would
have
felt unwarranted, I think.
Yes.
Like to that extent, like I understand she has like her goals in mind, but still, like that's a whole nother can of worms. And even at this point, like I was gonna say, up until this point, like she still thinks Allison isn't capable of that murder, so she doesn't know what actually happened with her lover there. So very. Or
I was like, then we're getting just a big shift with this character. If she's now wanting to take out people like by murder, that she even like talked about, she still liked and respected him. Like she still kind of adored him in a way of like they got along and they did their plan as far as they're gonna get married. She even said like, I wish the children would have been fathered from you, because we learned this episode that they actually tried, and it just probably because they're having sex like maybe once a month, and she's just banging the fucking night next door like every couple days and stuff like that. So it's like, yeah, well, no duh, it's not going to work out. But, it's just like, so I liked that conversation, and that's where it would have taken her more in a path where I couldn't support her. And that may happen eventually, because I think they're all going to make decisions where, hey, I can't agree with this one, but that's where the dynamic's good, because she said she didn't really want to be like that, and Damon said, well, that's exactly how I am. So it's almost like if any of that stuff happens, he's going to make that call. But there might be a time where she makes the decision. I was just happy it wasn't this one per se. So, but now these kids, they've lost their real father and their bastard, like their fake father. So, and now they got their new uncle as their stepdad. That wedding shot when it's all the kids just watching their uncle and aunt, or the uncle and a niece, their dad and mom just making out, blood wedding. I was like, fuck, these kids are fucked like
That's
this.
exactly what I said to Shay. I'm like, well, that is the most dysfunctional like photo right there of like a new family. It's just like, holy shit, everyone's related like already before the wedding. So
Gonna be
so
more related when
bizarre.
we get that other kid. And I
Yeah.
guess I imagine that I'm not sure with that time jump. Well, when we get that time jump, we're gonna have that new baby that wasn't in this episode aged up. And I
Yeah.
imagine that you're gonna have to have Damon and Rhaenyra have some child together. I think that's
Yeah.
even in the
Well,
bloodline,
that she's
so it's
probably
like,
pregnant already. She probably got
Yeah.
pregnant on the beach, I would imagine.
Well, exactly. You know.
Yeah. I will say,
poor,
like-
poor Rhaenyra's like, I tried at least once, and that didn't happen with me.
I will say, like with the like at least the visuals of the wedding, like they're wearing like different costumes and stuff. I'm like that's pretty cool wedding shot, you
Yes.
know, like minus all the incest and the blood, but like still it
And
looked
then
pretty cool.
there's like the
with
red
fire and
blood
stuff.
kind of like by their feet and stuff too, and everything
Yeah.
like that. So yeah,
Yeah, it was really cool.
it was a
And
great wedding.
is that is that probably a King's Land or not King's Landing? What's it called? Dragonstone?
Very
Probably.
disrespectful if it was, but I think it was because it looked like, it
the
was
port of King's Landing.
Yeah, like the fucking Leonier's like burning up there, and they're down there getting married and stuff like that. Not suspicious at all, and things like that. But yeah,
You
I
just
think,
have like
I think around
Viserys
there.
looking from his king's.
You know what? I've come around on it. Let the years pass, like you said. Let our
He's
problems
like-
pass like the years.
It's like a guy that knows he's dying. And he's just
Yeah.
like he's like accepting life. It's just like everybody love everybody, you know. Let's
And
just
I
do
like
this.
that scene. What a line when he's talking about Damon's dead wife. He's like, you know, something about God punishes us, or you know, God tends to strike down upon us, and he's just like,
Damon's just
God's like been punishing you a lot. It looks like.
Yeah, particularly you, brother. And I love so much like
you.
even just like Damon's body language. That like Viserys is doing like the song and dance of like I'm so sorry to hear the loss of your wife, and like
Yeah.
you know like the gods
Trying to
work in
mend
mysterious
fences.
ways, and like just trying to like have a brother. And like Damon's body language is just like I'm so fucking done of listening to you. Like I tried to be on your side, that didn't work out. Like I'm just so done with you. Like
Trying to marry your daughter. That didn't work
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, no, like I don't even want to listen to what you're saying. And he even just walked out on the king, which is probably not allowed, but he also just doesn't give a fuck anymore.
Yeah.
And
He offered
I think-
to be on his court again, and I was like, Jesus.
Oh,
he's
did
gonna
he?
have
I
me on
missed
my
that
court
spot.
again? Yeah, he's
Yeah.
like, yo, you have a spot on my court. I was like, oh my God, that sounds like a terrible idea to have Allison, her and Damon on the court. But he was just throwing everything out. He was just like an ex. Like, I give you this, remember the good times? But like at the same time, I still like Viserys like this. And even then, I forgot to mention this when we were talking about his like preference to Rhaenyra. Rhaenyra. I always
You
like
keep saying
fucking-
Rhaenyra. I don't know.
Rhaenyra,
like it.
I know.
It's like Danny. You give her a
yeah,
little nickname. Right?
Exactly. So with her, I think the other reason why he kind of like leans to her a bit too is because he knows like she didn't want to do this. She didn't want to be the queen. She was happy for him to hopefully get a son, and then she could bow out, do her own stuff. So I feel like he thought he's kind of put this on Rhaenyra of like, you got to get. He did literally. You're marrying this person this way, everything like that. So I feel like that's another reason too why he kind of defends her, because the Alicent, like, sure, he did ask, they talked, but like that was clearly like Otto and her working together, and they came to agreement, and then that was proposed. Like, why don't you marry my daughter? Or why don't you marry me? She still had like, because she still could have said no or ran away. Where Rhaenyra, that was her birthright. Like, she had to do this. So I think that's where he feels a little guilty too. That you had to do this. I also paired you with a man that doesn't even like women. So it's like, even if you could have. Like, he couldn't have, even if you didn't love him and you had your affairs on the side, you couldn't even give her the satisfaction of a guy that could maybe produce her children. You know, like he could, but like the fact that they weren't getting it on much and stuff, they're not making love. So that's the thing where he kind of put her in this whole situation. So I feel like that's why he also kind of gives her a mulligan of like, well, I'm going to defend her as much as I can while I'm around, because it's kind of my fault this shit's going down, right? So.
Yeah, and like at the end of the day, like that's his baby girl, you know. At the end of the day, so like that's big right there too.
Only one for that marriage left too.
Yeah, 100%. Just you reminded me of something that I want to say about Otto. I know they like showed like him with the pin of like the new like the hand of the king. I didn't realize till like near like I think it was when he was talking to Allison. I'm like, oh yeah, I guess he's just the hand again. And like
no one else.
it just happened
by proxy.
just like between the episodes. And like I know that he was like a really great hand to the king, but like the reason why he's got fired is a pretty big reason. Like he's just
Yes.
like he doesn't have like he's not on the king's side all the time.
No.
And it's just like you can't have your hand to the king, especially when you have Viserys looking like this and he's like he's looking like the crypt keeper.
Yeah.
Crypt keeper. Oh my god,
Crypt keeper.
He's the creaky keeper. And like we just didn't even get that addressed. That kind of hurt me a little bit. I don't think we're going to, because we already have a time skip going to next week. So it's just like,
he could be dead.
I don't know. It's a bad judgment call.
They can never have that conversation, and that's the same thing where that's where it sucked. Like, and there's episodes like this episode, I would give like just this episode alone. I don't know about the season. We'll rate that then, but like this episode alone, I'd like give it a 10. I thought it was like pretty much perfect. But there's still part of me like for enjoyment, I can give it a 10, but I can't give it a 10 because, like you said, where most of them I'll go, oh, I know at some point Viserys and Otto are going to have this conversation, so that'll happen down the line, and it might not happen, and that's the thing that sucks with these time jumps, where I still feel like even if the show, like even if this episode's like a 10 out of 10, I could give the shit like 11 out of 10, like it could be like a high thing, you know? It's just, I wish there was stuff we could see, and it's just like being fast forward, and it is weird that I think it is a big thing, even if it's just the queen asking, hey, I just need some support. Could you at least do this for me and have my father do it, even as like a placeholder, like something. But he's just back. And like you said, yeah, sure, it's been 10 years, but it's pretty much just like for treason almost in a way, right? But even then, it wasn't exactly as far as like, he wasn't wrong. Again, it's just the king didn't really want to hear it, and you're supposed to choose to report things. But like, he wasn't wrong about Rhaenyra and Daemon, that brothel, getting it on or almost getting on, right? He told him the truth. Now, he was probably... Again, he did ask like why he had my daughter followed, but he wasn't lying. So it's like another gray area thing. But again, I think that did warrant a conversation of, hey, how and why is he back? There's no one else you can trust. Nobody.
And like for me, it's like we got that dialogue between Rhaenyra and Viserys that led to Otto's like firing, but we just didn't get it for the opposite. And it's just like, I feel like it kind of takes some meaning out of like that initial firing, because it's just like, well, I guess it didn't matter because he just lost the old hand, and now he just got back.
The problems past like the years, you know.
Yeah, my old friend.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He's in that mind frame. I liked your dad. I liked your dad, and I was glad
my favorite hand.
Yeah, my favorite dad of my wife. I was glad they got a scene, because I was actually worried Otto and his daughter weren't going to get a scene this, because they went the whole episode without interacting at the end. But again, because there's these new cast members that haven't interacted, I want to see them interact. Same thing, I guess it's gonna happen, but I still hope that we get an interaction between Sir Kristen and Rhaenyra, you know, because we haven't really got that yet. I want like a big conversation, because like I feel like
we're going to.
I
don't think we're going to, because I think all their interactions is just gonna be like, I don't like you, but it's like it's one of those things where like they're in like a group, and it's just like they're kind of just like spewing things at each other. So I don't think you're wrong.
That's what I hate. Like I feel like he's almost so off to the side of just being like a guard, which was weird, because the actress said something in interviews that said like, oh, the reason she was so mad is because Alicent was in love with Sir Christian at one point. I didn't pick that up at all, even though I feel like they're implying that with some of this stuff now, like if she's gonna bang some guy in the series, that it's gonna be him. But I hope that happens, because that's one thing I will say about that's the crappy thing about the time jump, that old Game of Thrones, there was lots of slow burn, but the good thing about the slow burn is you would get almost that interaction with all the characters you really needed to interact or wanted to see interact. So same thing, I'm not saying that I need a whole bunch of scenes, just one of them, maybe talk about like what's happened over time, even if it's just in a way where maybe there's a moment where he can kind of admit that he still like loves her or something, but she's not fully for it, or so, like there was he asked her to marry her. I know it was 10 years ago, and it also feels like his hatred is still just born out of he's jealous that he can't be with her, or she didn't run away. So that's why I feel like a scene is still warranted, and I hope we get that throughout the show. It doesn't have to be this season, but I hope at some point we get that scene. But I agree with you that he could be fucking dead by the time that actually happens. So,
and like what you were saying there, if like they're, or sorry, it was the actor that even said that, of like possible love situation between
the actress.
Alicent
Alicent said that. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not picking up on that at all, and I feel like even if they didn't, that would be like a good rumor to just going around. Like if they're spewing rumors that like the bastard, or sorry, Rhaenyra's kids are bastards, it would be, I feel like that'd be fitting that there's just this rumor going around that the queen's just banging like this protector of him, super handsome guy, you know, like they're similar age. Maybe not actually, because the time skip, but they look pretty similar.
10 years older
now.
than her. Yeah, I think they're trying to do like she's a 20 and he's a 30. I think they're trying to do that type of age range.
It's better than the Viserys Crypt Keeper. Oh my god, I cannot say that word tonight.
Yeah, he's 50 and she's 20. Yeah, there's legitimately a 30-year age difference. So
so like that could have been like some interesting like that could have made Alicent's like camp so much.
Still might happen though. If the actor said that might be some implying that some, because
I didn't get a big time jump. Like this would have been the time to have that.
But Sir Christian could still be there, right? He could still be there.
He could.
Yeah.
But like,
he.
so we're gonna
it's-
enter 2-year jump, and then it's just like, oh yeah, this rumor's been going around now. When it's like, why did we not have that already before the time jump? I don't know. I think
I guess
it
it depends. I guess it all depends on Viserys' status, right? Because if he's dead, it's almost like no one would care. Like, let's say he died soon after, no one would give a shit if she's banging this guy, right? Because like, well, she's not the queen anymore. So that's where I think all depends on what his status is next week. I think he's still gonna be. I think he's still kicking, just in really bad shape. Like he probably. My prediction is like he's not even walking around anymore. Like I think that's the situation where he
He's
can't
just
even
laying on his bed.
legitimately
Allison gets woken up. The king's
Yeah. Legitimately.
What is it? The king. What did he even say?
Oh, it's like
His asked for you or something.
He request your aid or
Yeah,
something
that's
like
what it
that.
is.
Yeah.
Requested your
This
presence.
this late of hour. Yes, my queen. Yeah. No, I don't think that's happening for him, unfortunately. So.
What a way to go, though. If that's how he dies.
Oh. Yeah. One last orgasm's too much for his body. You know, just take him out. He turns into dust. It's like the people in Endgame that were having sex during the snap. That's the series. He's gone. He's gone.
That's a funny theory, actually, because it's like just for numbers. That's probably what's happening. People were boning,
Yes. Oh,
and then
yeah.
like just orgasmed, and then just fades to dust, and just
Allison
like, wow.
just walks out covered in dust. She's like, "Your father is gone.
My
Your
pussy was
father's
so
gone."
good, it murdered them.
Yeah, but now it's completely dry thanks to your father. There's no one's ever gonna touch
dust.
me again. When they found out that King Viserys is literally inside me for the rest of my life. And
No,
they-
I thought we were going in this review, but I love it.
It's a good way to pretty much end it. I don't know. Is there any other? I hit all my points. Is there any person or thing we haven't touched upon yet?
No,
Trouble in the marriage between the Valerians. They don't seem like they're
Yeah.
on the same page anymore.
That's where I was
Because
gonna
she's
say.
pretty much like, I didn't want to be queen, and I still have no interest in it. All you want to have interest in it, and in the moment where she reaches her hand, it's like, oh, maybe he's gonna get it and side with her. No, he just takes his hand away, and he's like, oh, he's just power hungry.
Mhm.
So they're not on the same track anymore, which sucks. Because I like
Yeah.
them, but it just seems like they're gonna be in a loveless marriage now and disagree. And damn,
I mean,
classic
like,
Game of
what
Thrones.
else? What else
Yeah.
is holding that marriage together now? That like all the kids are gone too. Like that's
oh my god, I forgot.
very
Just
tragic.
the status of hopefully one of their kids becomes king or queen, and they are above them, right? Like just the status of it. That's what she said. Like just like the legacy, and she's just like, I don't give a shit about the legacy at all. Like look what it's, and that also that time jump. Yeah, now that you mentioned that him being dead now, she said like you've pushed this life upon our kids, and now with him being dead and this one's looking like assassination, it's gonna be even worse, that marriage now, because they were just talking about that same week of look what you've done, and now it's the worst it's ever been.
I could see Corliss not making it out of the show. I don't know if it would be this season or whatnot, but
Well,
I don't know.
technically, no one's making it out of the show, you know.
Yeah, you're right. I feel like Princess Rhaenys. I always feel weird saying that name because it just doesn't
Rhaenys
sound right.
Rhaenys
yeah.
sounds like I should be sent to the principal's office, you know, like you're such a Rhaenys.
It's like Rhaenys or something.
Yeah,
like
Rhaenys,
that.
yeah.
But
Rhaenys.
the queen who was never was, or whatever her other title is, I feel like she's just gonna have like so much built up hatred, and it's not gonna just happen. I mean, there's a 2-year jump, so maybe it does just happen next episode. But I feel like it will be brewing, that she just has so much like resentment for him of like.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be on my team, and that's not the case, and like
I could see her just being like a drunk too, like just throwing everything away,
true.
and just I could see him being still prim and proper, trying to keep it all together for grandchildren, and she could just be in total Aegon mode of I don't give a fucking shit, because like, but I agree with you that I think we're gonna get, even if she is a drunkard, we're gonna get that like an Allison like scene where she I think in this maybe not in this season, but I think before their stories are done, she will lose it on him, kind of rightly, but even then not rightly, because the son's not dead, he just faked it, like he didn't die, he faked his death, so it kind of sucks for his parents' marriage is gonna be a wreck, but he's out there living his best life, I guess, you know.
Do you think it's possible that they find out, or is he just gone forever? They'll never know.
It's tough, right? Because as long as he gets far away and he keeps shaving his head, he's good. I think if he ever lets his hair grow out and there's like he ever gets captured, because that could be a huge tumble of weeds, right? If you find out he's alive years later and all the stuff that's gone down. But I think I would elect they never find him. I think they'd be smart enough to get far away, and he wouldn't let his hair grow out. He'd keep shaving it and stuff like that. Because without that, that's the vintage look, right? Is that hair? So without that, he's just another dude and stuff. And now they're in this. Remember, he even said Damon's like. He's pretty much implying they're going to a place where they would probably accept him being gay. It's like they don't care who you are, they don't care your name. It's just a place. If you have gold, that's all that matters. It's pretty much just like we don't care what you do. If you got the money, you can stay. And if that's the case, then again, he's living his best life over there because Damon gave him a lot of gold. And plus, I'm sure that he also had some money away and stuff. So,
Yep. Yeah, I just feel like it's one of those things that like, okay, you have this character that went off somewhere, and like it's someone that you can just get some juice out of in a future season or something. You know, it's just like, oh, who was spotted, and then it's like, oh my god, they found him finally. Like I could totally just see that moment happening.
I wouldn't say for me, it's not 100% off the table. If you like put a gun in my head and say yes or no, I say no, but I would not be, I would give like 25% they would see him. And plus I need to know what happens next week, because with these time jumps, so much fucking shit just shifts and changes in alliances and stuff, because even him coming back might not even be important if like his parents are dead, right? Like if they're dead. I'm very excited to see like what Damon's relationship is with his kids when they're older, because I feel like that's another situation where I feel like Rhaenyra is going to be very close. I could see some sort of situation where Damon and Rhaenyra are really close with her children, but they're not really close with Damon's children, and because I feel like they're trying to angle it that way, because people have been mad about the scene, but behind the scenes they showed an image of it was cut that after his wife died, there was a scene of him embracing the girls. They didn't do that all in this episode, and they haven't really done that. They haven't shown him being like a really good dad. He wasn't a shitty dad last week, but like they showed a side of him being caring in this behind the scenes stuff, but because they cut it in the main show, I think they thought, we should cut this because we want Damon to be more kind of aloof from these children. So I think him and his girls are going to have a very faltered relationship, because they just lost their mother, and within a week he got married to their aunt, and that can't go over well.
Yeah. I think my only holdup there would be like, because the kids seem to have like a good relationship.
True.
It's like they just, I don't know, they seem very
look
friendly.
close. They look, even with the other kids too. Yeah.
Yeah, and like at the funeral, like they were kind of holding hands and just like really like, I don't know, trying to support each other. So I feel like that could be enough to maybe just let the girls like be on that team. I did love that shot. Or
all four kids hate both of them. Like the kids are a unit and they just hate their life.
Yeah, they're fucking related. This is so weird.
I can't wait to get out of King's Landing, man. Oh, me too. You're supposed
There's
to be
a place
king.
beyond the narrow sea where they don't.
they find their dad and
Everybody
uncle.
just fucks off. Yeah. I will say at the just the big fight scene when it like broke off, and you just had that like visual of like the two teams kind of like on the side. You have Damon. I love that. Again, it was just like a fight night poster. It's like, these are the teams now. It's just like choose who you're voting for.
And it showed that even the Valerians, who in this episode, that she's talking about his blood, and she knows, like, she's like, we're in private quarters, we don't have to lie, we know those aren't your kids. And because their position was to try and get those kids to get closer to the crown, right? Because they're her actual bloodline, where Rhaenyra's kids are not. But even then, they're on the side of Rhaenyra and Damon in that cutoff. So it shows again that they are still more down to just go with the lie, because that's history, right? You go with the story, whatever. Like what he said, whatever the name is, not bloodline, you go with the name, and that's what they're doing.
And that, like, I mean, again, that kind of goes on in like Game of Thrones when you have like Joffrey. That's just like, everybody kind of just assumes that that's probably Cersei and Jaime's kid, but like, whatever, just go.
And that's why Ned Stark got killed, right? Because he was the first one to be like, hey, why are these fucking kids, like, when you looked at the lineage of Baratheons, all the males had dark hair and none of these kids had dark hair. But because he wouldn't play ball and he was going to bring this up, he lost his head, and that created a fucking shitstorm, you know? So
yeah. I think the last thing I can say is like last week, it was just like the first episode of having the new actors and actresses, or just actresses, I guess, and the kids.
Cast.
And it was like okay, yeah, thank you, cast.
Yeah.
So so the new cast, it's like, okay, I'm still kind of missing like our characters from last week. This week now, I'm like, okay. I mean, you even mentioned it. Like, I'm totally okay. These are our new players. I miss the old ones, but still, like, these are good. And I feel like the scene between Otto and Alicent really highlighted that, because it didn't feel like these guys have never had a scene together. Like, it felt like the younger actress, like, interacting with her father.
You
like,
felt
I totally,
the history of it.
yeah, I totally felt that history, and just like that the father-daughter dynamic there. So huge, just credit to the, I guess, the actors, like, just being able to, like, you know, sell me on it, but also just the show in general. And I'm so excited to see just more of them going forward. And as I highlighted in the non-spoilers, like Emma Darcy and Olivia Cook in this episode were just absolutely killing it. Like Olivia Cook, I believed her like anger and hatred in that moment of like,
she's
just
so
like
good.
Yeah, she's so phenomenal. I think I've only seen her. It's funny. I didn't even realize she was in Ready Player One. She was a character in there.
Right, she's the love interest in that one. Yeah.
Yeah, Artemis I think is her name, but I don't think I've seen her in anything else. But she's fantastic, and
I
Emma
saw-
Darcy as well.
Yeah, I saw one other thing that was like, I don't know if it was Netflix, but Netflix was some of those like teeny rom-com ones. But what I knew her was from Bates Motel. She was in that show from like all 5 seasons. And she played like Norman's friend who she was in love with that didn't really know he was a serial killer and stuff like that. And it's so funny in that one, she plays like the very like lonely, nerdy girl. She has like an air tank and like she's just like a nerd and stuff like that. So, but she that was somebody that role started very simple and it like progressed a lot. And no, she's very good. And I think she's gonna get a lot of eyes on her this season as far as people like seeing it for the first time, which is good because she's still a young actress. So Game of Thrones will only help her like the other cast members. And excited to see what happens in the next few episodes because now we only got 3 left, but still, who knows where we'll be at the fucking end of all this, you know? So.
Yeah, we saw Helena, I think was her name, Bug Girl.
Oh, she is no.
She had
Talk about
she has
Aegon
spider
has no
now.
idea what's going on. She doesn't even know what universe she's in. She's
No,
like
yeah.
Robin Williams and Jumanji. What year is it? Like she
Literally.
has no idea. I feel bad for the poor guy that's gonna have to be suited to her because it's just like she's gonna have a collection of bugs. She's gonna have no idea about
She's
the
gonna have
hierarchy.
some weird kink too with bugs. I'm sure.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just like, oh, bring the centipede in.
They have
you
to
know? Like, I
crawl
really
on
get
me
turned
for
on.
me to reach point of orgasm. And I'm like, all right.
It's like fuck.
If you get me closer to the crown, I guess I'll do this. I will be excited to see that character aged up in the future, like what they do with her. And the thing is I like these characters more. This episode showed that we didn't lose anybody, but what like we lost someone, but he faked his death. We didn't lose anyone to death, but this showed me with the sides being so drawn, and even at the end, with like again that guy being like, "Hey, you ever need me? Like, I'll take that kid's eye," and she's like, "No, that won't be needed." That shows me, I think, at least one person in this episode, but in this series. I know, like I made that joke, we're gonna lose everybody because eventually everyone's gonna die because it's 200 years in the present or the past. But we're gonna lose a lot of people before we're supposed to lose them, and there's gonna be like some pretty bad traumatic stuff. I think that's gonna go down.
Classic Game of Thrones.
Yeah, and it's gonna suck because I hate when that happens because sometimes we lose characters. Like man, there's so much potential, and here we are. But yeah, we'll be here.
Thought I was ready for it after season 2, I think, of Game of Thrones, after the Red Wedding, but no, never prepared. Especially when it's like a favorite, the character you're just loving. Rest in peace, Pedro Pascal. I don't remember his character's name, but God, that was one that hurt me. I knew he didn't even live on because it's just like, you know, he's not in all the seasons, but fuck, I loved his character.
He goes a lot sooner than you think, and that's the thing right now because we have a lot of characters. That means you got a lot of people you could lose. So
yeah, you brought him up, Lair Strong, the new head of that house, I guess, who just like killed his brother and his father. Fucking just a savage character.
Just creeping around.
He's always creeping around. And in that moment when he was on the boat and he's just like, "Oh, my queen, like you want them to lose an eye?" He just seems like that kid that's just like really in love with like that hot chick, and she's just like totally friend zoned him. It's just like, "Oh, yeah, I could use you for this." It's like, "Don't worry, we'll get around it at some point." And he's like, "Okay." Yeah.
I feel like at first it was for power, but I actually don't think it's that. I think it's that he wants to be with her at some point.
He has hungry eyes when he's staring at her.
And I feel bad for her, but she's going to use him because she says like, "I'm going to use you one day," pretty much. Like I will call upon that favor. So it's like, and you know he's going to do fucked up shit. This guy just killed his dad and brother. So yeah.
He's got influence now, right? Because he's the head of that house. I love that moment, though, when, like, Kristen Cole's just like, "Hey, this fucking weirdo's just staring at you."
She's like, "I know."
She turns over, and he's just, like, huge grin at her, like, "Hey, my queen.
Remember what we did?
Remember me?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
that's it for me, yeah.
Yeah, well, we'll be back next week talking about House of Dragon episode 8, see what fucking shit unfolds then, and promise you it'll not be boring.
Bye-bye.